Hi, my name's Tim McNealy, and I've graduated in 1973 from Purdue. Taught 1 year at Blue River Valley with Jan Wooten. Then I moved back to Columbus, Indiana, where I grew up and taught for the following 27 years as an ag science teacher at Columbus East High School. With my bachelor's degree, when I came to Purdue, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I thought I wanted to major in ag econ, kind of ag business, but then I got into statistics and I thought that's not for me. So then I went to the ag ed staff, talked to James Klaus, who happened to be from Hope, Indiana, and is in the same county I'm in. Jim talked to me and I told him kind of my interest was ag econ, ag engineering, so he said, why don't you be an ag teacher, take all your electives in ag education, and that way you can fill your schedule up with what you want to take. So for me, Jim Klaus was a big influence, and I think not knowing what I wanted to do at Purdue when I came, it was a big help. And then the staff at Purdue was absolutely fabulous for me. I was not a great student, but I had real passions for agriculture, had real passions for youth activities and 4-H and FFA. So for me, that was my path to becoming an ag teacher. Eldon, how'd you get your start? What was your choices?
Yeah, I'm Eldon Cutter, and I teach at Scottsburg Middle School, and I graduated from Purdue in 1973 also. I student taught under Larry Ralston at Milan, Indiana, Milan FFA, and that gave me a great start also. But anyway, what influenced me in the agriculture was my ag teacher when I was in high school, Robert Hidman. He was a great ag teacher. He was just a great influence on me, and also my second cousin, Dale Kaniga, who was at Aurora, and he also was a great influence on why I became an ag teacher. And I just grew up on a farm, and I thought a lot of my ag teachers and what they did for me, and I just thought that was the greatest profession I could be in. And so that's why I became an ag teacher.
Okay. I didn't mention, but when I student taught with Leon Crow at North Decatur High School. That was a fabulous experience. Leon did a great job for years with his students. He made student teaching very easy. He was also very helpful, very supportive. He was involved in the community. You got to see what a premium ag teacher and a premium ag program was all about. I was also fortunate in the summer between my junior and senior year to have an ag experience at Brownstown Center with Bob Myers, an extremely strong ag teacher, when he was there, and his students were very successful. So for me, student teaching in that summer intern experience, which you got paid for at that time, was a great opportunity for me to learn about becoming an ag teacher. And there's some other people I want to mention too. My ag teacher was Wayne Coy. He's still living. He's 91 years old. He still lives in Columbus. Fabulous man. And when I think about a group of ag teachers that I was able to observe, or we were able to observe when we were young ag teachers starting out, I'd name Ned Stump at Prairie Heights was fabulous, Bob Myers at Brownstown, Ken Brashaber at Rushville. Ralph Walker was on our methods classes when we were there, and he was a ball of energy and was a great guy. Bill McVeigh was like Mr. Agriculture and Livestock Judging. The Purdue staff was genuinely interested in us as individuals, not just because we was an ag ed, but they were really interested in us as individuals. So Bill Richardson was also here, and maybe Eldon, maybe you want to talk about Bill?
Yeah, he was an outstanding professor we had here. All of our professors were really super. But going back to getting started back in the day, I was an ag teacher intern also under Glenn Wright at Sudman High School and FFA. And then that was an influence, and then I done my student teaching, like I said, at Milan under Larry Ralston. My first year teaching, I taught at Switzerland County, and found out that was the lowest paying school corporation in the state. And then went to Blue River Valley, where Tim was, and he just left to go to Columbus, and I increased my salary 50% going from Switzerland County to Blue River Valley back in those 70 days. And then I was at Blue River for 12 years, and then I went to Batesville, and I was there for 8 years. And then I took a job with Purdue Extension Service in Ohio County, did that 5 years. And then I went to Scottsburg, and I've been there for 12 years. So it's been quite an experience at each one of those schools, new experiences, learned a lot from each one. And so we both got to teach with Jan Wooten back in the 70s.
Great ag teacher, just enthusiasm out the wall, wanted his students to be great individuals as well as great students. Bill Richardson came to Purdue when we were there, I think our sophomore year. We started with Dr. Klaus,
right.
And then Bill Richardson came on staff, and then a guy by the name of Larry Roast came. Well, it was kind of funny because he was from Missouri also. Eldon and I, growing up in the southern third of Indiana, we really had kind of a flair, and people at Purdue thought I was from Tennessee because of my southern drawl. But Larry Roast had the greatest phrase, and he would talk about using a camera or getting the lights in the room set right, and his phrase was, "When the light is right." And it was really funny because even us southern Indiana boys thought that was, pretty much way out there, maybe Tennessee, Arkansas area. So but that was a great thing. So that's the people.
And that is a memorable moment. Teaching moment that we remember. All of us from classes of 73 remember for many years. We still talk about that every time we get together.
Yeah.
But anyway, Larry Roast, he was a great influence on us.
Yeah.
Bill Richardson, we had him in quite a few classes, and he was very educational and taught us a lot about what we should expect in teaching agriculture, and that was good.
Yeah, I think his real thing was professionalism, not as much as working with the students, but handling those students that weren't necessarily driven to be successful or didn't have the support at home to be successful. How you had to take them under your wing and kind of build their confidence, build their desire, help them discover what their passions were. I think that was the really great thing that the Ag Ed staff and even the professors in the agriculture school let us do. So I think for that reason, it was a great experience for me. Those other knotheads that were sitting here kind of before us, Butcher, Frishy, Guesswine, and Crow, I don't think they really lied, but we all have this BS degree. I'm not so sure that they don't have masters in BS. So anyway, that's just kind of a commentary, I guess, on the sideline. But they're all four of them are great individuals, great teachers.
One of my favorite classes that probably my most favorite class and learned the most from was a class under Professor Arlen Brown. One of the graduate classes that he taught was at Hagerstown at the high school, and during that 1 week class we took apart a truck engine, a tractor engine, and some small engines, and overhauled them, ground the valves, and put them completely together, and they all ran at the end of that week, and they all were overhauled, and it was a fantastic hands-on class.
Right.
And that was one of my most memorable and most learning classes that I've taken.
Yeah. I think Arlen, his great gift in education, which I think you need to design and decide how you can do this, but he was the safety net for when you messed up. He didn't care that you messed up, but he cared that you figured out what you were doing, and he wanted you to be able to show him what you knew and not just what you learned, but what could you do with what you learned. And I think that was the great thing about Arlen Brown as far as having him in it. And he's here now. He's in a wheelchair. This is 2012, and he'll be 99 years old this coming January. So what a tribute to still have him around.
Exactly.
I just think it's great. I guess the last thing I would kind of have to say about advice to young people entering education, I don't know, Eldon and I have talked about this, and I guess we're getting older, so we do philosophy a little bit among ourselves. But I think you have to be passionate. If you become an ag teacher, you've got to be more than passionate about your curriculum. The students have to be, you really don't teach ag sciences, you really are teaching young adults. And the curriculum just that you reach them just happens to be through ag science. And I don't know how anybody could be an agricultural teacher and not be passionate about either the animal sciences, the out of doors, the mechanical part. And I really think you have to bleed and believe that that field that you've chosen is by far the best. I have no idea what I'd be doing if I hadn't been an ag teacher. Eldon, any?
Right. Also, some advice. Ag teaching is the greatest job in the world. And if you love the job that you're doing, you never have to work a day in your life.
That's right.
And but you need to expect to put in many hours and a lot of hours teaching ag. And but always one good advice that I've heard: always put your family first.
I think you have to. You know, your time beyond the day, your classroom and your instructional time as an ag teacher doesn't end when the 3:15 bell rings or whatever time it is. It's on the weekends. You'll get calls from students who need help. They got a project, and those are the greatest times, and really the best times. Being an older teacher now, I'm starting my 40th year, and I really believe is when I run into those students and they talk to you and tell you about significant things that's happened to them and some of the influence you had upon them. And for me, that's really give to your profession, give to your community, but give to your family first, and then they will understand why you are so passionate about your job of ag education. I can't really think of anything else. We took seminar on wheels when I was an ag teacher, and we traveled in a van to 3 different states: Kalamazoo, Michigan, Anderson Fertilizer Company. That was a great experience. Got to see a lot of ag teachers and other ag programs. So I'd encourage you to take all those things advantage of them as you take your path through Purdue ag education. And I do wish everyone the very best that majors in ag ed. So.
And so do I.
Boiler up.
Boiler up.